Welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. Ed is back. We are two retired New York City police detectives with over 40 years of police experience. If you like all things true crime related from a police perspective, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so you'll get all things DutyRon and this guy right here, Ed Wallace, when we go live or upload another video. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Brian Laundrie, his notebook, the recovery of his notebook, the contents therein, and his confession. But before we get into that, I want to say a special thank you to the Patreon supporters, the channel members, and all the folks who subscribe to this community. You guys are an instrumental part of making this a great place to be. So we give thanks and praise to you guys, the subscribers, everybody who leaves comments and chit chats in the live chat. Thank you so much. Ed, welcome back. We love and miss you. Everybody's going crazy over Ed Wallace. Tell us, how you feeling, bud?
Well, just when you thought it was safe to watch YouTube, I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm feeling better. Thank you, folks. I felt your love, and I thank you for all your warm wishes and well wishes for my condition to get better. As you can see, every once in a while, I'll get the sensation to cough, and there it is, But I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, and Ed, let me tell you, I want to say this. Thank you to everybody in the chat, but thank you to the replay viewers and all the people who sent in messages on DutyRon.com for your great uncle, for your mom, for your wife, for everybody who was affected by COVID. Joey Brooklyn today buried his dad, not due to COVID, due to cancer. And we give him a lot of love and positive vibes. So Joey Brooklyn, actually it was yesterday he buried his dad. I'm getting mixed up with the days, but he is in mourning now. He probably won't be on with us. And that brings me to my next point. Two of our fellow brother and NYPD officers responded this evening in the 3-2 precinct. That's Spanish Harlem in New York City and Manhattan. And they were met with gunfire at the door. The two police officers from the NYPD, our fellow brother, and succumbed to their injuries, were shot and killed tonight at 6:30. So that's just a short time ago. And I contemplated about not going live. So if you guys could please put some prayers in the chat for their families, whether they're married or not. We don't know. It's so early in this investigation, but we know two of our fellow brothers in blue, the NYPD, lost two of their officers. That's a total of 5 officers in a very short period of time. So if you guys would please we're going to just pause for a moment of silence for our fallen brothers in blue. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate that. So again, Ed, we talked about this notebook. I want to play just a quick clip, and this will bring us it'll set it up for the 2 previous days. We saw a flurry of activity with the Petito and Schmidt family on Thursday. They went over to the FBI's office in Tampa. We're going to play that quick clip for the audience so they can take a peek at it. But everything that you and I spoke about, mainly, Ed Wallace, retired crime scene investigator. He's a forensic expert. All kinds of crime scene recreation. Ed can just talk about this. But, if you look at our replays and everything that Ed and I have spoken about, it's come to fruition here, straightforward in this press release. So let me play a little bit. Ed, do you have anything to add to it before I play this?
Nope. Go ahead. Run with it.
Let's run with this, and we'll set it up for everybody outside and inside the country. So here's, this is from 2 days ago. We're going to play this, and then we'll come right back on with you.
Petito and Brian Laundrie. Newsnation has learned both families have reached an agreement to split their belongings when they are released by the FBI. This story captured the world's attention as the couple set off on that cross-country road trip. Gabby then reported missing in September after Brian returned to Florida alone. Her body later discovered in Wyoming. Brian became a main person of interest in the case, but after weeks of searching, he was found dead in a Florida nature reserve in October with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Newsnation correspondent Brian Entin has been following this story since the very beginning for us, and he joins us live tonight. Brian, we know that Gabby's parents met with the FBI today in Tampa. Do we know more about what was discussed and who called the meeting?
We don't, but the timing of the meeting is very, very interesting, Marnie. And what's also interesting is how long Gabby Petito's parents were there. They were there for 8.5 hours today, meeting with FBI agents in Tampa. Exactly what they were doing, we don't know. There's a couple of possibilities, we're told. Number one, it's possible that they were briefed on all of the details of the case because the investigation is finally winding down, and perhaps the FBI is going to go public with some of these details. Another option that could have happened is they may have actually been going through the evidence, Gabby's things, and collecting some of her belongings.
Do we know, Brian, if the Laundries were also present for any of that?
They were not there today. We know through their attorney, there have been discussions through their attorney, Stephen Bertolino, with the FBI over the past several months, but they were not at the Tampa office today.
If, in fact, the investigation is coming to a close, as you allude to, and which seems as though may be happening imminently, that final report, once they release that to the family, do they plan to release it publicly?
We hope so. I mean, in other big high-profile cases, they have in situations somewhat like this. And again, it is somewhat common for them to brief the family first so they can know all of the details before they go public with the final report.
In terms of the agreement with some of Gabby's belongings and kind of splitting up what she had at the Laundrie house, do you know, I know you've been talking to the family, do you know what they wanted returned, any specific items?
Well, they wanted Gabby's things. I mean, there were a lot of Gabby's things at the Laundrie family home because Gabby lived there for quite some time. And you'll remember when we were outside the house, there were several different FBI raids where they left with boxes and boxes of things. A lot of that stuff was Gabby's. Also, Gabby's van is still in possession of the FBI, and a lot of her things are inside the van. So there is a lot that the family wants back. And it's interesting today, the Laundrie family attorney, Stephen Bertolino, said that they have been negotiating and that they have reached an agreement on who will get what.
Are you hearing anything more about the notebook and the backpack that were found near Brian's remains?
Well, there is certainly a lot of interest in the notebook, Marnie, because as we remember, it was found near Brian Laundrie's body when he committed suicide. And we were told that there were some interesting notes inside it. What we learned today through Mr. Bertolino, the Laundrie family attorney, is that it has been decided where that notebook will go after it leaves FBI custody. He wouldn't elaborate on where it would go. I would assume, it did belong to Brian Laundrie, so it could be going back to the Laundrie parents.
All right, we'll see. Brian Entin, thank you.
So there you have it. That was from yesterday, folks. Ed, any takeaways from that? I mean, we know where we're at today, but this was setting up all of the activity from today. They were in the FBI's office for 8.5 hours. Any thoughts on what they could be doing in there for that long? That's a long time.
Well, they explained the investigation and what it revealed. They explained everything that they did, what the evidence was that they had found, how they were able to conclude that it was only Brian that was involved in the death of Gabby, and there are no outstanding suspects. So they explained all of that, and they probably showed the contents of Brian's notebook to Gabby's parents, where it later on the FBI would have their own press conference and admit that he had left a confession in the notebook about killing Gabby.
Yeah, and I feel too that this notebook and the contents therein, it is Brian's notebook. I don't think the Petito family wants that notebook. They wanted to probably see it, as you just said, but again, they want their daughter. They want her personal effects. Any parent that had their loved one, their daughter or child murdered, you want the personal effects. And when you and I covered the story, when the FBI and locals were going in and out of the Laundrie home with the boxes and a lot of stuff, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about if they cleared out Gabby's room. She's a very artsy gal. She was very artsy, so they maybe want some of her drawings or some of her things that her personal effects, right? So that's what we're looking at here. I'm just going to play a second clip real quick. This is Brian Entin in the car, and he goes over the breaking news from today, which is the homicide investigation has been closed by the FBI. They know their perpetrator due to a confession. So let's listen into what Brian Entin has to say quickly as we let Ed rest his voice.
This was coming.
All right, there we go.
Hey, everybody. I just wanted to get on here real quick with this breaking news involving the Gabby Petito Brian Laundrie investigation. Sorry, I'm in my car, like I'm driving in between stories when all this broke. I mean, we knew this was coming really as of yesterday. We got tipped off that the FBI was going to release their final statement and final report to the media today in regards to the investigation. And that's literally what just happened within the last hour. I'm just going to read you the statement, which we have all of this on newsnationnow.com if you want to look at it again, but I'm just going to read you the final statement here from the FBI. All logical investigative steps have been concluded in this case. The investigation did not identify any other individuals other than Brian Laundrie directly involved in the tragic death of Gabby Petito. The FBI's primary focus throughout the investigation was to bring justice to Gabby and her family. The public's role in helping us in this endeavor was invaluable as the investigation was covered in the media and around the world. And then basically the FBI just shared their condolences with the Petito family. So really the new piece of information here is the FBI has officially connected Brian Laundrie to Gabby Petito's death. While we all sort of surmised that was the case for quite some time, now the FBI has actually put it in writing saying the investigation did not identify any other individuals other than Brian Laundrie directly involved in the death of Gabby Petito. So now we've got that officially from the FBI. There were a few other interesting nuggets in there. And again, all of this is on our website, newsnationnow.com. Just pulling this up here. So there was something else interesting deeper in the FBI's final report for the media. They had this timeline, and they said that the FBI did a review of the notebook. You'll remember there was that notebook that was found near Brian Laundrie's body in the Carlton Reserve. So they did a review of the notebook and found written statements by Brian Laundrie claiming responsibility for Gabby Petito's death. So that is new. We knew through sources for a while, and we reported this, that there was stuff in the notebook that was legible and that the FBI was able to make it out despite the notebook being wet in the swamp there. And now we know that it was actually notes from Brian Laundrie claiming responsibility for Gabby Petito's death. So it appears based on the full FBI investigation that it is now crystal clear that Brian Laundrie killed Gabby Petito. So not a big surprise for us who have been following this closely, but again, it's a pretty big deal to have the FBI, putting out this final report and sort of bringing this to conclusion. The number one question I've been getting over the last half an hour is, what does this mean for the Laundrie parents? A lot of people were wondering whether or not they would be charged, and we don't know exactly, but this appears to be the end. I mean,
I'm going to stop it right there for a second, Ed, without putting us back on. That's a fair question. People out there in the true crime community, they want to know, is Brian Laundrie's parents going to be held liable for any type of crimes? Now, we know they can't be held liable for Gabby Petito's murder, but they certainly could be held liable for harboring a fugitive. He wasn't really a fugitive at the time, but he was a person of interest. I hate that word and that term. Any thoughts on that, Ed?
Unless the parents lied to the FBI during any interviews or obstructed in any way when they were doing search warrants on the house, I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it either. And again, there's probably like a time limit to where they could bring charges forward for them, but if they were investigating any type of minor criminal activity, I think that they would have collared them by now, because I think that the evidence would be clear and in the forefront. But everybody, obviously, that's following this case closely feels like, the parents did dirty. They didn't, they exercised their amendment to keep their mouth shut and not communicate with the Petitos and the Schmidts. I mean, that's a shitty thing to do. I'm not even going to bleep it, because it really is. What good person would hold back information when their son returns from the Tetons without his fiance, the girl who's been living in their household for what they talk about is about 2 years. Again, it's a matter of just anger. Now, someone sent in a question on a super chat and said, who should get the notebook? Now, I have my thoughts on that, and I know that the Petito family just probably wants to see it, and that we know that they saw it because Brian Entin said they confirmed that the FBI showed them the contents, and the content inside that notebook was a confession by Brian Laundrie. Hey, do you want to talk a little bit about how they can wholeheartedly say that note, because there's going to be people that say, well, maybe the mother scribbled that, and maybe somebody scribbled it, and just like the teeth being spread around, like everyone's saying that the family dentist is sprinkling teeth around. What's your thoughts on the handwriting?
Well, they would have to have exemplars of Brian's original writings, and they would have to do a comparison against the writings that were found in the notebook in order to make that conclusion. They will also try to do some fingerprint work or some DNA work off the pages of the notebook. We don't know the exact actual condition, how wet it was, or if it was wet at all.
Right.
We don't know if they had to utilize any chemical processes or any other infrared or alternate light source processing to make anything visible that wasn't visible, or we don't know any of those things. But what we do know, excuse me, what we do know is that they found writings in there where he admits to killing Gabby. What I found interesting is that they didn't say anything about him admitting to taking his life or about to commit suicide or any type of suicide note.
Right. And if that was in there, Ed, I think that they wouldn't be obligated to show that to the Petito or Schmidt family, because that's internally for their investigation. And the coroner and the medical examiner's office, they've already determined it was suicide by a gunshot wound. Self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think, even if that was in there, that they would put the family again through that or see that. But they spent 8.5 hours, and
I'm betting dollars and donuts it is in there, and it helped with the cause and manner of death for the pathologist.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they've had this for such a long time. We're just now here, January 21st, getting wind and it being officially released. I'm going to play the rest of Brian Entin's video here so we can see what else he had to say. But he's given up some great information, whatever he's got directly from the Petito Schmidt family and the FBI.
FBI called this their final statement. So it appears that Chris and Roberta Laundrie will not be facing any charges. But they don't actually say that, but it appears the investigation is totally done. Let me read you also a statement from Gabby Petito's attorney put out a statement on behalf of her family. And you'll remember they were at the FBI in Tampa yesterday. They were briefed on all of this yesterday ahead of time. And today, their attorney put out this statement. Gabby's family would like to thank the Federal Bureau of Investigation, specifically the Wyoming, Denver, New York, and Tampa offices, all of their task force members and their assisting agencies. Gabby's family would like to thank the FBI's Victim Services Department for all they have done for them. Victim Services has been there for support from the earliest stages of this investigation and helped their entire family navigate through the worst moment of their lives. We truly appreciate the FBI's diligent and painstaking efforts in this extremely complicated case. The quality and quantity of the facts and information collected by the FBI leave no doubt that Brian Laundrie murdered Gabby. So you can imagine what
The Petito Schmidt family class act. I mean, that statement right there through their attorney, and I know that they're being very careful. I've been texting with Gabby's mom, but of course I won't reveal the content of what she's been texting back and forth to me. But she's been keeping me and Ed up to date on everything that's going on. Class act, Petito and Schmidt family, right from the beginning, right straight through till now. Bless them. They've been through hell and back. And this you think this was a bumpy ride for all of us? Well, let me tell you, as a parent, it's your worst nightmare. So kudos to them on how they're handling it through their attorney. Ed, there's so many questions in the chat. It's just blowing my mind. But yeah, I got to say one thing that Nicole Schmidt mentioned to me that I could mention to you guys, and it's this. She said that, a lot of people out in social media are portraying Brian as the victim, and she wants that to be very clear that he was not a victim here, and that the police, by labeling him a victim at that car stop in Moab, it's not the way it went down, and that's not what she wants everyone to understand and know, that her daughter clearly was the victim here, and it unfolded the way it unfolded, and here we are today. Brian Laundrie admitting in his notebook that he murdered Gabby Petito. Let's take a peek at the chat. I want to just say thank you to Dr. Moskowitz and his wife in the chat. Thank you so much for being here in Pocatello, Idaho. Miss Missy E. Nick has said about 100 times, welcome back, Ed. Great to have you. Thank you, E. Nick. Much love and respect. Lillian Gala, good to see you. Thank you. She says, good to see you back, Ed. I think this is the Ed show right now. I'm going to go full screen and get me out of here.
Well, let me just say this. I see all your hi and welcome and good to have you back. So thank you all for those kind words.
Yeah, Ed's been through the ringer. He's been rung up here and back, and he's had his whole family, basically, right from his mom to his dad to his, he lost his great uncle.
My uncle, not my great uncle. My uncle.
Okay, uncle.
Last living uncle.
I got it wrong. His uncle. So Ed's last living uncle gone due to COVID, and again, we're gonna have a show where Ed's gonna talk about the health treatment that both he and I received or didn't receive, the lack of
what health treatment.
Yeah. So we'll have a conversation on that. The chat's just moving so fast, I should probably slow it down. So really quick here. We covered the notebook. Is there going to be any talk about the weapon used? Are they going to get into that? Or is this case, when they mark it closed, Ed, is everything going to be sealed on it? Because people are talking about the two young girls that were murdered over in Moab, in the Grand Tetons, actually, Kaylin and Crystal. People are just holding on to that Brian Laundrie potentially, allegedly did them, killed them. We now know that he was cleared of that in a statement, I think, yesterday.
Yes, by the local police that were investigating.
Right, and they said they did it by electronic evidence. And
they pinged his phone,
right.
And it wasn't anywhere near the site of the homicides.
Right. Now, Ed, you're a forensic expert, and I hate to put you on the spot because I know that you're having a hard time with when you talk. But I want to just quickly, if I can get a brief answer to you on this. As an expert in crime scene and evidence collection, if in fact the gun that he used to shoot himself, the family, all those guns are registered in the state of Florida. So it's not like he was running around with a gun that had the serial numbers scratched off. It wasn't a perp gun. And when I say a perp gun, a perpetrator gun or a jagaloon gun, this was a registered weapon. It has a footprint when it shoots. If that weapon was used at the crime scene in Moab, wouldn't it be matched up with his registered weapon, Ed? Yes or no?
If there was ballistic evidence at the scene of the double homicide of the two young ladies, such as deformed bullets recovered from the body, or ejected cartridge cases, say from a semi-automatic weapon, because we don't know what the weapon was in the case. Could be a revolver, could be a semi-automatic, but in any event, if there were deformed bullets recovered from the victims, and the caliber, there would be a physical examination of the bullets, and the caliber would be determined, the make and model, the class characteristics of the bullet would then determine the make and model of the gun that could potentially have fired it. And if based upon that information, they could see if that matches what's in the firearms possessed by the Petito, by the Laundrie family. And if they don't own that particular caliber or make or model, then that's it. Game over. It's not them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, I know the overwhelming majority of the listening audience knows the deal. But, there are the folks who just hold on to it. There's still people to this day thinking that Brian Laundrie is still alive. And you know what? I respect it, because to each their own, everybody can have their opinion. And that's what's great about Crime Time with DutyRon. I'm not going to ever put somebody down for having a feeling or thoughts. But the ballistics would it would be an easy that's investigation 101. It would be so easy to say, okay, give me the registered weapons that were in the Laundrie household. Let's match them up to the ballistics on the scene at the location in Moab. They don't match. Done. It's a done deal.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's no trail cams out there and all that stuff like that, but let's stick to the notebook. Now, you and I spoke extensively about this dry bag and the notebook.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the photo of the parents leaning and looking in that bag, and we critiqued how horrible that crime scene investigation, the evidence collection was. It was like a cringeworthy moment, right, Ed?
Yeah. When they picked up something and put it in the bag that wasn't in the bag, that was witnessed by the Fox News reporter.
Yeah. So again, we're going to be sticking on topic. I just started speaking about Brian's the alleged involvement in the double homicide. This is not what this live stream is about. I just did that as a courtesy to a lot of people who have asked about it. But yeah, so when we see the way, this is what it is, the Northport police and the sloppiness that there's no doubt. And I don't like to even talk like this, but I have to. The sloppiness of the Northport Police Department, the letting Brian Laundrie slip out and mistaking him for his mother for him. There's I can go 5-6 different things that they screwed up on. That leads the public to have lack of trust for even the FBI. But you got to realize, folks, the FBI and the Northport Police Department aren't one and the same. They're two different agencies. They're the feds. Northport is a local police department. It's not even a municipal police department. It's a regular, like a local town or whatever, however they do it down in Florida there. So again, you can't, just say, well, they did it wrong, so now everybody's going to do it wrong. That's not how it works. Right, Ed? I mean,
absolutely. You can't look at all of law enforcement and paint us with a broad brush like that and say, well, just because Northport did it this way, that means we're all incompetent and we can't do it correctly. And that's just not the case.
Right. Let me look at Schmidt's super chat. She said, why would the discovery of the revolver not be stated when the police/FBI stated the backpack and notebook were discovered? Ed, you want to answer that?
Well, are you referring to the revolver that was found by the fisherman who dragged it out of, his fishing line, got stuck on a plastic bag from Publix supermarket, and inside of it contained a revolver? Because we never heard from law enforcement whether or not that revolver was involved in this or was a part of the Laundrie family arsenal of weapons. We never heard anything about it. In fact, the FBI said this is going to be their final statement on this today. They mentioned nothing about a firearm being recovered or associated with the self-inflicted gunshot wound by Brian.
Right. I made a statement, Ed, a long time ago about that, and that also too started on Facebook, and it was just an internet rumor. Like you said, the police never made a statement on it. The FBI never made a statement on it. So we don't know if, in fact, Brian Laundrie had a semi-auto that he, that he shot himself with. We don't have the data on that. So speculation and stuff like that. But Schmitty, I know where your heart was there, and I know that that was a valid question in everybody's mind.
Right, but we just can't answer it.
Yeah, it's just unanswerable because it would just be pure speculation because we don't have access to the case file, and now we have.
No, I mean, Ron, excuse me, but if in fact the FBI had the firearm, then, and this is going to be their final statement, they should have tied this up with a nice neat bow and said, yes, we recovered the firearm. There was also a suicide note. So so now everything is connected, and it dispels all these conspiracies.
Correct. Yeah. So, a lot of people are talking like PB&J said, well, Brian Laundrie was already dead, the mistake that they made. But if you're surveilling someone, whether they're alive or dead, they don't know. They didn't know that he killed himself. They didn't know he was dead. Their job was to make sure he didn't leave that house. And if he did, to follow him. And they weren't unable to do that. And they admitted it. So, you have to call it as you see it, and again, this case is, just got so many different rabbit holes. It's enough to make even seasoned law enforcement veterans like Ed and myself, it makes our head spin because we just cringe every step of the way. But we did not see what the feds had or what they did behind the scenes, and nor did any of us in the chat. Mm-hmm. So Lee McKenna from the UK says, you're looking a wee bit pale. Take care of yourself, Ed.
I lost a wee bit.
Yeah, a wee bit. All right, let's play this last piece by WFLA because these guys have covered this really good, and I'll give Ed a chance to recover here. Here we go.
New details coming to light as the FBI in Denver concludes its investigation into the Gabby Petito murder case. Good evening, I'm Keith Kate.
And I'm Stacey Scheibel. Thank you for joining us. News Channel 8's Justin Shecker joins us live from the FBI field office in Tampa with what we have learned late today. Justin.
Keith and Stacey, good afternoon to you both. Gabby Petito's parents met with FBI agents here yesterday before the Bureau provided its public update on the conclusion into their investigation. According to the FBI, Brian Laundrie confessed to killing Gabby Petito in written statements in the notebook found near his remains in Northport. Nearly 5 months after Gabby Petito disappeared during a cross-country road trip with her fiancé, FBI Denver Division Special Agent in charge, Michael Schneider, says the investigation did not identify any other individuals other than Brian Laundrie directly involved in the tragic death of Gabby Petito. The FBI's primary focus throughout the investigation was to bring justice to Gabby and her family. 8 days after Nicole Schmidt reported her daughter missing on September 11th, Gabby's remains were found at the Spread Creek dispersed camping area in Wyoming. The Teton County Coroner's Office says she died of blunt force injuries to the head and neck with manual strangulation. On September 17th, Laundrie's parents reported their son missing after he went hiking near their Northport home. After an extensive month-long search by law enforcement, Laundrie's parents located an item belonging to their son on October 20th in the Carlton Reserve. The FBI revealing near his remains, they found a backpack, revolver, and a notebook with a written confession. The Sarasota County Medical Examiner says Laundrie died of a self-inflicted gunshot. The attorney for Petito's parents, Richard Stafford, sent 8 on Your Side a statement saying, "We truly appreciate the FBI's diligent and painstaking efforts in this extremely."
Can you back that up again?
Case. The Quality Medical Examiner says.
Where do you want me to go?
Where they listed what they found. Back that up again. Right there.
Yeah.
Extensive month-long search by law enforcement, Laundrie's parents located an item belonging to their son on October 20th in the Carlton Reserve. The FBI revealing near his remains, they found a backpack, revolver, and a notebook with
Stop it right there.
Revolver.
Now they're saying that the FBI found a revolver by his remains?
This is a report from today.
Yeah, that's the first I'm hearing that. Did they make that announcement before? I've never heard that before.
They found a backpack, revolver, and a notebook with a written confession.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, let me let the rest of this play in case there's something else that we could pick out of this.
Sarasota County Medical Examiner says Laundrie died of a self-inflicted gunshot. The attorney for Petito.
The self-inflicted gunshot is not determined by the FBI. It's determined by the anthropologist.
The anthropologist and the medical examiner.
Correct. And we've covered that extensively with documented remarks.
Those parents, Richard Stafford, sent 8 on Your Side a statement saying, "We truly appreciate the FBI's diligent and painstaking efforts in this extremely complicated case. The quality and quantity of the facts and information collected by the FBI leave no doubt Brian Laundrie murdered Gabby." The Laundrie family attorney, Stephen Bertolino, says, "We can only hope with today's closure of the case, each family can begin to heal and move forward and find peace in and with the memories of their children."
I'm going to say this too. Everyone's getting excited in the chat about the revolver. If that revolver that they are now confirming that the FBI had, it's processed in the lab. If that revolver was used back in Moab on 2 girls, it would be out there. They would be like, whoa, wait a minute here.
Yeah, but the girls were killed with a 9mm semi-automatic, not a revolver.
I know, but I'm looking at some of the chat.
Yeah.
Some people are like, whoa, again, the ballistics is like almost like fingerprints.
Right.
Exactly.
And the gun, the purchase of that gun, the revolver, they would have done an ATF search on the purchase of that gun. And it probably comes back to the Laundrie family as one of their firearms that was missing from the initial search of the house and the inventory of the weapons.
Right. And the questions keep coming up about how do they determine self-inflicted. The part of the skull, I think Murray talked to us about this, and you did too. There's markings that happen when, yeah. And I'm not even going to make you go through it because I know we're going to wrap this up shortly, but we're going to take quick Q&A, but let's let the rest of this play and then we'll wrap it up and we'll bring it home. Excellent catch there, Ed.
Mm-hmm.
And the Petito family has started a foundation in memory of their daughter. Its mission is to help find missing people and to support organizations assisting victims of domestic violence. Live at the FBI field office in Tampa, I'm Justin Shecker, 8.
All right, so that was a good report. I'm glad I picked that one up, and I'm glad that Ed Wallace caught that because that was important. Let me just pull the chat really quick, Ed. By a show of hands here, if you believe that this case is closed and this gives you 100% closure, put a 1 in the chat. If you feel a little wishy-washy about it, put a 2. Let's see what this poll reads. A 1 if you're fully confident that the FBI has dotted their I's and crossed their T's. Case closed. Brian Laundrie killed Gabby Petito. Put a 2 in the chat if you do not think that is true. All right, see a lot of 1s coming up, a couple of 2s. I think the 1s are now dominant here in this poll. I'd love to just start a poll. I know I could do that with YouTube, but I think this is a little bit better. Wow. So there's a lot of 2s. There's a lot of people. I see quite a few 2s, but mainly 1s. All right. I think we're all on board with this. Ed, again, this is a rough time for the family, the Petitos, the Schmidts. We saw on the video there, they were all together at the FBI office. 8 hours of sifting through evidence and, probably, personal effects of their daughter. How long do you think it would be before they release that van back to either the Petitos or the Schmidts? It's not going to the Laundries, that's for sure.
Well, it was registered to Gabby. It's her van. So she's going to get that back. And as for the question about who gets the notebook, well, that's Brian's. It's going to go to Brian's family. Unless for some reason the FBI is going to keep it. Yeah. But I believe I saw there was an agreement between family attorneys as to who's getting what in terms of belongings. Right. So obviously it appears the FBI has given a list to the family attorneys of the property that they have retained in this investigation. And now that they're closing the investigation, the case is closed. Right. It appears they're going to be giving all of it back.
Yeah. So, and that'll happen in due time. I mean, there's a procedure to go through to get that done. The notebook is Brian Laundrie's property. I don't think the Petitos want it. Unless there was some of their daughter's writing in there. And then that would probably just be ripped out and given to the Petito Schmidt family.
I wonder if the FBI, though, went back to the federal court and got the warrant that was issued for Brian's arrest expunged.
They're going to have to, because once they deem, if they release to the press that the case is closed,
Right.
then they're going to have to go with the death certificate before the courts, which your son and I have done that. He's probably done it already. And if he hasn't, then, you know, that's pretty much a miracle. But
He's done it. He's done it.
Yeah, so you go to you obtain either from the family or from the medical examiner's office the death certificate, and you go before a judge, and that's the only way a warrant can be expunged. That warrant for the credit card fraud will be expunged once a death certificate's presented before federal court. And I would assume that will happen sometime this year. I guess there's no urgency to do that. Like, you know, it's a warrant for a dead person. So,
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, oh, you got to get there and let's get it done.
Yeah, but eventually it has to get off the books.
Absolutely. I mean, I've had some of them that person was dead for 20 years, and then we come to find out about it, and we just got it taken care of. Patsy says, why would anybody want the notes? It's creepy. Yeah, listen, it's up to the family, and we're just talking about it. Let me say thank you to the moderators, all of the Patreon supporters, the channel members, the subscribers. If you're not yet subscribed to this community, consider hitting the subscribe. You can highlight a comment if you see it. So
no, I just read the one that you flashed on the screen about could they open the case again if they found Brian alive?
Right, that's RDNAAC. Yes,
if they find Brian alive, I'm going to change my religion.
Yeah, and I'll actually shut my YouTube channel down if they find them live. I won't even come live again. Just kidding. Listen, so I want to say thank you to the replay viewers, but if you're not yet subscribed to me and Ed here, subscribe to this community. Follow us follow me. Ed's not on social media much. Follow me, all one word, DutyRon. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and now TikTok. So you can follow me on TikTok. All I do is upload little snippets of all of our goodness that me and Ed do with all the doctors and all of our good stuff. Jennifer Nobles, thank you for the $10 super chat. She says prayers for Orrin and Orson West, the West boys. Today is the 13-month mark they went missing. I'm not trying to take away from Gabby. I understand, and I highlighted that because 13 months is 13 months too long, and I hope we get some answers sooner than later in that case. I am fully invested in that. I'm all in on Sincere and Classic, 100%. Everybody knows. Thank you to everyone who sent in donations for the billboards. We got another month put together, thanks to generosity of Crime Time with DutyRon. Steve Cass is here, North Florida. Gary, thank you for sending in donations. Gary, you made a statement that made me sad in the chat the last time I was live. At the end, I read, I make donations, but I never get noticed. Well, Gary, all of the donations from everybody gets noticed, and I thank everybody, not just you. I thank everyone who sends in super chats or PayPals for the boys and for all the cases that we cover. So thank you to everybody who does that. Who just joined the silver? Jesse SX, a member for 7 months. Thank you so much. Dave in Osaka, Japan. Great show, DutyRon. Thank you. Thank you, Dave, all the way from Osaka, Japan. And guess what? Dave is a Canadian living in Osaka for over 20 years.
You got to say, Ron, you got to say domo arigato.
He speaks a lot of different languages, and he's a teacher. He teaches English there. So, but Dave's a great friend of mine. I encourage everyone to go over and check out his channel. The Mystery Maven, suffering from COVID. Jess has got COVID. So sending a lot of prayers to you, Jess. Positive vibes. Anybody have any questions in the chat for me and Ed? I'm going to scan the chat right now. Just keep the questions pertaining to the notebook and Brian Laundrie. Let's not get off base. Let's not talk about anything else but the notebook and the Brian Laundrie case. That is now a closed case. Thank you. Where is it? Alicia B. Great show tonight. DutyRon and Ed Wallace. Hey, by a show of hands, who's so happy to see Ed Wallace back? Just say
stop.
Just say me if you're excited to see this man right here, this guy right here. And who's excited to see the Jagaloon Lane sign? Let me put that up close so everybody could see it.
Jagaloon.
Yeah. So here it is. This is courtesy of Matt Sully. He made this for me over 2 years ago. I've had this.
Nice.
And that's adults that act like children. So that's what a Jagaloon is. That's the meaning of this sign.
It's adults who refuse to grow up.
And Josh says, yeah, exactly. Josh says, Ron who? We're here for Ed.
Oh, damn.
Where is that? Let me highlight that one. Where the hell did it go? Right here.
Let me pull that out of your back and shove some quick in there.
Ron who? We're here for Ed. I love it, Ed. Ed, I should just give you the coordinates to sign on yourself, and you could just take over. Ed could do a takeover of the whole DutyRon.
No, this is your show.
Yeah, it's our show, guy. Anyways,
thank you, Ron.
So Deco Paint and T says, ouch. Let me look for any chats. Melody says, I love the sign. Anybody can relate? Anybody relates to the Jagaloon sign? That's going to stay there for a little while. I think it's pretty relevant for what's going on in the Summer Wells case. Respect. Could the dirty launch? Here's one. Where is it? Gosh darn it. It's going by so fast. Oh, here we go. So this is a good question. Eddie T, could the dirty laundries make money off of that book, that notebook, or this case?
Well, they didn't commit the crime. So the Son of Sam law wouldn't affect them if they have that in Florida, like we have it in New York. So if you commit a crime and then you try to make a movie or a book about it, you cannot profit off of those things based upon the crime. I'm not sure if Florida has that.
Right.
But
we'll look.
I hope not.
We'll look into it. I will look into it ASAP. So Sweet Melissa says, I was wondering why Gabby's parents were at the FBI office for so many hours yesterday at DutyRon and Ed. We covered it. They were looking over evidence and being briefed on the case.
Yeah, well, the FBI was closing the case, and they wanted to give the family all the information they had before they made a public announcement about the closing of the case.
And the Schmidts and Petitos made a statement through their attorney saying that they are fully confident that the FBI knows exactly what happened to their daughter, and they're fully confident in all of the different agencies, and they listed them, right, Ed? We went over that.
Yes.
So if you watch the replay, you'll see that. Do we know anything more about Brian's reasons, state of mind, or going back home for 6 days? Sue, I would imagine that they were briefed yesterday. The Gabby Petito family and the Schmidt family were briefed on everything and anything that they had in their case file, because now, the perpetrator is deceased and they can expose what they have.
There was a question about, will we ever know the contents of the notebook and what was actually written there? Well, once the family gets their hands on the notebook, they're free to release that information.
Yeah, and I think that they were shown that notebook. The Petito and Schmidt family during that 8 hours had a chance to go through that notebook. It's not like it has to be secured for evidence, so they were probably handed it and were able to thumb through it and look through it.
Yeah, I mean, after it was all processed for all the physical and forensic evidence, then there's no reason that it couldn't be handled. Yeah.
I'm looking for anything more. Dawn Marie is here. She's recovering from COVID as well. Dawn, thank you for being a great moderator. Black Rose 11, moderator, great friend. Jen Lowe, love and respect, all the way in the state of Colorado. So Rouse Trucking, he's got COVID too. Hey, by a show of hands, who has been bitten by this bug either in 2021 or 2022? Let's see how many people have gone through it. My hand is up. I could put 2 and a third hand up for my family, in my immediate family. My little Frankie, my baby, was the only one that didn't get it. My 25-year-old baby. I don't know how he didn't get it, man.
Ron, I know we talked offline about this, but I want to tell the audience. So my father and mother live with my older sister and her husband. My mother and father and my brother-in-law contracted the COVID virus, and yet my sister hasn't.
Wow.
Now, my sister has rheumatoid arthritis, and guess what medicine she takes for that ailment? She takes
chloroquine.
That's right. And she's been taking it all along. And even though everybody in the household had come down with it, she hasn't. And and they're beyond the 10 days. Right. And she's been testing and testing. She hasn't come down with it.
It's amazing. It really is amazing. So a lot of people have had it in the chat here. There's no rhythm and rhyme to it, Ed. I really don't think there's any rhythm or rhyme to this, because I was so certain that my son was going to get it as well. And look, Stacy Turner sends in a super chat. She spent $4.99 to say he's not dead. So
Okay.
there's, and listen, I respect it. Stacy, again, this is a country where we can, and this is a community where you can say it respectfully. So I appreciate it. Pat's Cats. That's a good one. Pat's Cats. I just got the booster. I got it after Ed got sick. I'm glad he's better. Love the show.
And remember, I'm fully vaxxed and boosted.
Unbelievable. Where do you think you contracted it? Traveling, or was it somebody that you thought you might have came in?
I think it might have been. I think it might have been either when I was in Baton Rouge, or the travels between there, because it was shortly after that is when I came down with it.
Yeah, I remember you were in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Nick, our good friend, is saying I'm hiding from it.
Yeah.
I think we all were trying to hide from it, but I think it's going to get everybody. And I'm about to get boosted tomorrow, says Detective George Ishwag. Okay, well, good luck with that. I'm not getting boosted. I'm not going to, because I feel like I have super immunity right now. I may wait till the spring and then maybe get the boost, but we'll see what happens.
Well, they say if you've gotten all the vaccine shots and the booster, and then you've gotten a breakthrough case, then you do get quote unquote super immunity between the vaccines and the natural immunity that your body produces.
All right. I just got a message from Nicole Schmidt, Gabby Petito's mom, and she says, thank you. She's watching. She said, thank you guys for covering this story. So Nicole Schmidt Petito watching here tonight. We love and respect you and your family, and we thank you for sharing everything that you've shared with us about this case. So a lot of love and respect goes out to the Petito and Schmidt family from the Crime Time with DutyRon channel. So yeah, guys, you never know who's watching. Pocket Exchange, the wife of a minor, $10 super chat. Do you think they will release the exact statements written in that notebook? That's a good question. Sorry if this was already asked. No, you don't have to be sorry. And thank you for the coverage. What do you think about that, Ed?
Like I said earlier, I mean, the FBI said that was their last statement on this, and then so it won't be them unless they're forced to do it. But other than that, it could be the Gabby's family if they saw it, or it could be the Laundries when they get their hands on the book.
And I feel in my heart, like my insides tell me that the Petito and Schmidt family saw that notebook yesterday. I could be wrong, but I think Nicole and the whole family that went there, they didn't just go there for 8 hours to twiddle their thumbs. And I think that notebook was.
If I was the case detective, I would have shown it to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've been in these positions where, you cover, a very, sensitive case like this. And it would just be, it would just be the right thing to do, because you're not going against a defense attorney. There's no prosecution. There's no charges. So,
but more importantly, for the family of Gabby, it's to show them, look, this is why we've come to these conclusions. This is why we're closing the case. There's nobody else out there.
Yeah.
Brian did this to your daughter.
Exactly.
Okay.
Mama She 13, thank you for the $20 super chat. Hello, DutyRon. Sorry I've missed so much, but we've got COVID. Oh man, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we know what you're going through, and everybody's got a little different in symptoms and things of that nature. But it sucks, So
it does, with the big S.
Yeah, capital S. Dawn Marie says, Nicole Schmidt and the whole family, much love and respect, and love. Thank you, Dawn Marie. Thank you. I'm going to highlight some of these for her because I know she's watching. She just sent the message to me. There it is. Oh, look at that, Sean. Great profile picture of Gabby. That was her last known social media post. That picture right there. There's a story behind that picture. So very meaningful. So yeah. Kathy Herb says, "Let It Be." That was Gabby's favorite song. I'd love to play that. The Beatles, "Let It Be." But we would get a copyright strike. So maybe on a members only, I'll play that because it's a great song. Let it be, let it be.
Let it be, let it be. Simple words of wisdom, let it be.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. We got 54 minutes. Ed, I'm so happy you're back, and I'm hoping that each day you get a little bit stronger. I know that, with the voice and everything, it kind of sucks,
Yep.
Mama She, again, throwing another $10. We got to get a poll, Ed, so we can start dancing. My 10-year-old is on day 6. And started running a fever again today with new different symptoms. No. And my 6-year-old has it now too. Wow. We're sending you strength and positive vibes. Mama She 13, a great friend and a supporter. Love from the Macaron family. Hey, Robin. Good to see you. Robin Lane, channel member. Excellent. Lieutenant Pete is here. Hey, boss. Good to see you. Lieutenant Pete Pranzo and Richella. All right. Nikki Bella saying love and respect for Gabby Petito and family. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it so much.
Hey, Ron, I'm sorry. I think it was Lee who was asking a question about, do you remember the title of Barbara Butch's upcoming book?
I don't off the top of my head.
Yeah, I can't remember it either. I'm sorry. I'll look for it and we'll get back to you, Lee.
Yeah, I have it linked in one of my live streams that I did with Barbara. So I'll go to that link and I'll get it out there and I'll put it down here in the description. All right. The Gabby Petito Foundation is still active. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. They are taking all the funds and redirecting it to domestic violence. So if you want, consider donating to the Gabby Petito Foundation. I appreciate anybody and everybody that sends in their donations. It's tax deductible. And it's a great, great foundation. They're doing unbelievable things. Michelle McCarthy, hugs from Tampa to Nicole. Thank you. Missy, let me highlight some more of these for the Petito and Schmidt family. Thank you, Dr. Moskowitz.
Yes, thanks, Doc.
Yeah, much appreciated. Crystal Champion, always here and is always a great friend and supporter. Robin Lennon says she's got a bad reaction to the booster. Third person I heard happened. Heart blood clot booster. Yeah, none of this stuff is exact science. So let me see. Crystal Champion, Gabby Petito Foundation. Here's the link. Thank you, Dawn. I knew you would come up with that. Appreciate that. That's the link for the foundation. I will pin that and I will put it down below as I do in all the descriptions. Melissa Hollins sends in a $25 super chat. She's a channel member as well. I think this is a classic domestic violence case. Brian was trying to make Gabby feel like she couldn't succeed because he knew that she would and would no longer have control over her. The most dangerous time for victims. It could be, but thank you for those words, and I appreciate you expressing your thoughts and opinions here with us in the comment section, and thank you for the super chat. Let's see quickly, and then we'll wrap it up. Princess Michelle is here. Great to see you. Thank you for joining. Ed, we will take the weekend off and we'll take it easy for you. I know that I don't want to rush you into this, but I'm so happy to have you back. We are going to be following the Harmony Montgomery case. I know, Ed, I have talked to you a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've been following it.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable case, and I think I want to go over some of the forensics part of that and the search in the backyard that they did at the house and a couple of other things. We'll backtrack on it. We'll do a deep dive, me and Ed, I promise, guys. Mama she's throwing the kitchen sink at us. There's a super sticker from Mama She 13. Thank you for the $10. Appreciate you. Get better soon, and your children. We're not sure if a motive will ever be known because the case is closed. It may be known by the Petito and Schmidt family, and they may put it out. They may not put it out. So,
I just think it was a domestic dispute and the rage took over. We don't have to deep dive into this. It happens all too often. Yeah.
We have to talk about and have conversations about how to stop it, how to prevent it. And that's why I did a domestic violence show while Ed was down and out sick. And I'll continue to do domestic violence specials because it's so important. It's so, so important. All right, guys, we're on the 1 hour mark. So much love and respect from my house to yours. God bless the world. God bless the United States of America. And God bless each and every one of us here in the chat. But most importantly, all victims of crime and their families, and the Petito and Schmidt family needs us now. So let's pray for them and pray for our NYPD family, our officers who we lost 2 of them tonight. So
Yes.
please, guys, say
The,
something.
the officers and their families.
Yes, officers and their families going through a tough time. There's Dave in Osaka, Travel Japan, sending in another super sticker. That's 190 yen. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it, brother.
Domo arigato.
Yes. Yeah. We got to get him on the show one time, Ed, and then you and him can start talking in all the different in the different tongues. So yeah, Dave in Osaka. I want to talk to him about crime in Japan because he knows about it. He's there 26 years. So he wants to talk about crime in Japan. Let me know down below in the comments. Me and Ed want to know, would you like to hear about crime in Japan with Dave in Osaka, a Canadian living in Japan over 25 years? So that'll be interesting. Guys, good night from New York. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
I'm grateful that you're back.
Good to be here. Peace out.
Peace.